Did you know that there is an underground grotto in Margate in Kent that is made entirely out of shells and nobody knows what it is or how long it's been there for? This is one of my favourite little mysteries, so let's get into it. The story goes that back in 1835 in Margate in Kent, a man named Joshua Newlove was doing some renovations on his house. I read a source that said he was making a duck pond, which I thought was really wholesome and sweet, so we're going with that. He's building a duck pond and he realises there's something under the ground, something that he didn't know was there. Joshua Newlove realises that there is a cave under the ground, and because it was the 1930s and health and safety hadn't been invented yet, and because nobody really cared about children, he lowered his small son into the hole of mystery in order to see what was down there. And nobody expected what was down there, except for the children of the house, because according to Frances Newlove, his daughter, who years later spoke about it, she said, yeah, the kids knew it was there for ages. They had discovered it, they had dug a hole, they used to go down into this cavern of mystery with local kids from the area and explore it. But when their dad discovered it, they didn't say anything because they were afraid they were going to get in trouble. So they already knew it was there, and they already knew what was waiting for them. So in this mysterious cavern, they were confronted with this. There was 70 feet of cavern under the ground. There were these winding hallways, curved rooms. There was what seemed to be an altar room, and everything, absolutely everything, was covered in shells. Every single wall, every single bit of the ceiling was covered in seashells. There are 4.6 million seashells in this grotto. The shells on the walls were primarily local shells, and they were all designed in these beautiful patterns and images. There was obviously phallic imagery. There was obviously yonic imagery, because is it really art if it doesn't have penises and vaginas in it? There were also images of flowers, of animals, of gods and goddesses. I mean, it's pretty spectacular. In the grotto, there's also what is believed to be an altar room. And in the corners of the altar room, there are queen conches from the Caribbean. But here's the thing. Nobody really knows what this grotto is or when it was built. There is no record of this grotto existing before it was accidentally found. There are some people who believed that it might be a folly. So in the 1700s, rich men used to build a folly, which was basically like a shed, to be like, oh, look at all the interesting things I collected when I was traveling. Look how much money I have. Look how cool and cultured I am. And some people even went as far as to hire hermits to live in these follies, that they could be like, look at my hermit that I own, because that's normal. But the problem with that theory is that follies were generally a sign of status and wealth, and you would fundamentally show your folly off. That is not a euphemism before you even start. The point of a folly was that you showed it to people, and this was hidden away. It was also built on farmland. It wasn't built on an estate, so it doesn't make sense that it would be a folly. Some people have also suggested that it is some sort of smuggler's cave, and while smuggler's caves are pretty common on the coasts of England, it probably isn't one of those, because A, there was no reason for a smuggler's cave to be as ornate and beautiful. They were really there for practicality, and B, it's probably too far away from the coast for it to be a useful and logistical smuggler's cave. There are some people who believe that this was some sort of ancient temple, but to who or to what? And there are others who believe that this was some sort of secret meeting place for rich men, kind of like the Hellfire Club. But listen, I know too much about the Hellfire Club, more than I want to know. And it's basically just rich people getting drunk and, having sex and whatever. And they famously could not keep it a secret. They loved telling people about the Hellfire Club. So I really don't think that if it was a load of rich men who were getting drunk, blah, 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 I don't think it would have been this much of a secret. You might be wondering, what did they use to stick all these shells to the wall? I'm sure you were wondering that, of course. But they took 5 kind of bits of mortar from different parts of the caverns in 2009 and sent them away to be analysed. And all 5 bits of mortar were completely different and seemed to be from different time periods. So, for example, they thought that maybe one of them was an example of Roman cement, but then other bits of mortar weren't actually mortar at all. It was different bits of natural substances, like bits of fish that were used as a really good adhesive to stick these shells to the wall. So basically, nobody knows what it is or what it was used for, but you can visit it. You can visit it if you're in Margate, and maybe you'll be the one to solve the mystery. Who knows?